welcome to episode 37 of the Fashion Feed podcast. I'm sure lots of you already know today's guest and follow her and love her on Instagram, and it's Olivia Rose, the label. Her brand has grown so quickly and has a serious cult following online. Olivia hand makes everything from her studio in Scotland, and after being inspired to sew by her grandma Beryl, she named the first dress in her collection after her. Fast forward a few years and she has to close her shop on a regular basis due to it being so popular. Olivia was approached by a buyer in Selfridges and asked me to accompany her to the meeting, and it was a roaring success. We've stayed in touch ever since and I absolutely loved interviewing her. In this episode, we discuss how Olivia started her brand and where her passion for sewing started, what happened when she was invited to meet the Selfridges buyer, creating a strong brand aesthetic that people know Olivia for, the importance of repurposing content for her online audience, breaking into TikTok and what to share on that platform, and making sure that you charge your worth.
Hi.
You are wearing your my favourite top.
Yes.
Describe it.
Mine as well, the Darcy top.
Yes. It's like a blue. What kind of floral
it's like
is that?
white cotton with a blue floral.
Yeah.
All sheared, little puff sleeves.
So cute.
Cute little thing. Yeah.
This little thing. So for anybody who doesn't know, I'm sure everybody who listens to this podcast already knows who Olivia Rose is. But if they don't, then do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Olivia. I am the owner, founder, designer, maker.
Everybody.
Everything behind Olivia Rose, the label.
Yeah. And how did it all start? So what year are you in now of your business?
Third year.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go back 3 years.
Yeah.
Or maybe even longer, because you've been selling your whole life, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have an exact date of when I launched the brand, really. It kind of just happened naturally. Do you want me to talk about like how I started it?
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk forever about this, but I'll start from when I was younger.
Yeah.
That's kind of the reason. Like, I think I always say this, but from as young as I can remember, I've always been like really creative. I've always been drawing, dressing up, things like that. But since I think maybe like 6-7 years old, me and my cousin Laura, we used to have sleepovers at my grandma's like every Friday, and she was just like the coolest, like most stylish like person ever. She had like always had her sewing machine. Basically in her living room she would have like her sofa and then the table. She'd always have a sewing machine there. And she was just always sewing, whether it was like things for me or she would do like repairs for the family or she'd make things for the family. Like she made my like Holy Communion dress, things like that when I was younger, you know, like really cute things like that. So yeah, we just used to stay there every Friday and she had like a dressing up box for me and Laura. We'd like get super dressed up, like put scarves on and everything. And we just like do dancing and like make dance routines for her. And my grandma loved it. She'd like take pictures and like it would be just like the fond, like some of the fondest memories I have growing up. And I think I was creative before that, I remember, like in primary school. But I think that really made me like being in that environment just made me feel like this is always what I knew I wanted to do. So since I finished secondary school, I went straight to like a specialist art college in Middlesbrough, which I don't know if there's actually many like specialist art schools like that anywhere else, but it was literally 5-minute walk from my school.
Wow.
When you get to like year 11 in school, you decide what college you're going to. I was like, I'm going to art college. Like, there's nothing else I want to do. It's the only thing I applied for. So I ended up going there with 2 of my best friends from school. And that was just, I always say this, but that was like probably the 2 best years of my life. Just like, in terms of like realizing and like getting to do, like basically waking up every day and going to college and just like enjoying learning and being able to like express yourself with the clothes you wear, because everyone at college used to be, you know, like super stylish and like all the girls in fashion would get so dressed up every day for college and things like that. So that was the 2 best years of my life, and I learned so much. I just had the best time. And then second year applied for, well, we had to start looking for unis, and I really had my heart set on doing textiles in Edinburgh, but for some reason they didn't have the course. They weren't doing the course I wanted to do at the time. So I found a textiles course at Chelsea College of Art in London, and in college I got like all top grades, so I got a scholarship into Chelsea. I know it sounds so like, but I got a scholarship into Chelsea, and I don't know, I didn't really enjoy uni as much as I thought I would. I don't know whether it was because I was from like a small town and being 18 and going straight to London, and like, you know, because I started in college on a textiles course. There was like 12 of us. And then at uni in London, there was like 100 people on my course. So it was just completely like a big fish in a small pond to like being like a no one. Like I didn't really click with people that much. So uni wasn't the best experience for me. But
me too. Yeah, I didn't enjoy it that much.
Yeah. So I don't know why really. I just had like, I don't know, like maybe personal things going on at the time and things like that. Maybe I wasn't in the right place to be at uni. But I did it. I mean, I wanted to quit a few times, but I got through it, and yeah, I did like okay, my grades, like they were fine. But after that I knew that I didn't have enough money to live in London after uni. And I just knew I didn't want to go back home. Like I knew there was nothing there for me anymore. So this is the most random part of my life, but I remember being on the phone to my mum being like, what am I going to do now? Like, I don't want to go home. Like, there's no jobs for me. I don't know what I'm going to do. And she was just like, oh, why don't you go and work at this hotel that I used to work at when she was younger, in Dorset. It's like you could like live in there, and it's like the most beautiful place in Studland Bay. And she was like, just go there for a few months and have a break and enjoy the area and things like that. It's like an easy enough job. And I was like, fine, I'll go. Like, whatever, I'm going. So I remember getting the National Express bus from Victoria Coach Station. I was on the bus down to, I think I had to go to Bournemouth to begin with, and get another bus across a ferry to get there. It was like a really secluded, beautiful area. Anyway, I was there, and then I was waitressing, and I met my boyfriend there that I'm still with now. Yeah, and then yeah, I just remember working there, and like I enjoyed it to begin with because I met loads of really nice people and things like that. But I remember I can't remember when I started, but I had my grandma's sewing machine because she gave it to me, and I had I think I had my dad like send it to me in the post because I was like, I really want to start sewing. So in between like breaks or when I was off, I would just like design things. And I remember I made the Instagram when I was on a break at uni. At uni, what am I talking about? At break at work. Yeah, and I made the Instagram, and I didn't post anything on it for so long. So yeah, after a while of working there, I got really like, oh no, I can't do this anymore. So I quit. And I went back home, and my boyfriend was still working there. And yeah, I just like, I'd saved up a bit of money, and I ordered like fabric and things like that. And I made my first design, which was the Libby top. And I started selling that on Depop and Etsy. And within like a week, it just happened. Like it was so random. It was like I started my brand. I had the idea for it the whole time. But it just randomly happened because I remember putting the designs on and just thinking, I'll see what happens. Like, I'll see if anyone's interested, things like that. And it just like happened so fast. Before I knew it, I was like making orders every day and just going to the post office every day, and like it was growing and growing. And
Because didn't you have like a part-time job was it in Debenhams?
Yeah, so that was after the season finished, because I quit working at the hotel like before the season finished, but my boyfriend carried on, and because he's from Italy, so like we had to meet. From that, we had to meet. I think we met. Did we meet in London? I can't remember now, but I think we met in London. I went to Italy for a while with him for like a month, and then I was like, let's go to Edinburgh. Like, let's live in Edinburgh. Like, it's so
Yeah.
random, but I just love Edinburgh. I've always wanted to live here, so I was like, let's just go there and see what happens. And he was like, fine. So we went there, and yeah, we found a flat, and I got a part-time job at Debenhams, and I was there for like a month and a half, and
And then it was too much.
yeah, and I was just like, I need to quit, because my brand was just like growing and growing and growing so crazy that I remember being at work and thinking, oh my god, I could have done like 2 orders by now. I'm just stood behind the till bored, like.
Yeah.
So I just quit and just went for it. I was kind of like, if I don't go for this now, like I'll never will, so yeah.
And so when you were first uploading stuff to Etsy and Depop, like how did you photograph it, or what do you think made people take notice of? I mean, obviously your tops are really stand out as well. Like they've got the big puff sleeves, they're very unique. Like people know you for that.
Yeah.
But how did you
Well,
know
to
what you
begin
wanted?
with, I was just taking pictures of them on myself.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I'd love to ask someone from like back in the day that bought from me and ask them why. But I was selling them for really cheap at the time. Like I had no idea about pricing then, because I was just testing. Let me just drink my green tea for a second.
Yeah. I was going to say that I do actually know somebody that bought one of your tops at the very
Really?
beginning, so we could ask her. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so sorry to anyone that bought from me then, because they were probably really shit compared to now, because I've learned so much. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, I just used to take them on myself, or I'd take them, just like a flat lay on the floor and things like that. Or I would, like, girls would send me pictures of them, like they still do now. So I would use like customer images for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you
because
still do now.
yeah, I still do now. Yeah, of course. But
Yeah.
I try to have like a main product imagery now, like, I try to do it professionally, but yeah, to begin with, it was literally just me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And so in those early days, like how did you literally just pluck a price out of the air and
Yeah.
think, oh well, my fabric costs this much, so
Yeah.
I'll charge this? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was the Libby top, so it was kind of just like an off the shoulder. I think I was doing crop tops at the time, so it would come like just underneath, like here, and like it was long sleeves, it was all sheared. And yeah, my fabric was really cheap, and I remember just thinking, like, what would I pay for this? That's what I thought, like, what would I pay for this? And then other people will like probably agree.
Yeah.
I never thought about my time making it or anything, because back then as well, it was so early days that I was just happy to not be like serving coffee to someone, or
Yeah.
like folding clothes and things like that. So for me, it wasn't like, I wasn't thinking of it as a job then. I
Yeah.
still enjoy it now, but back then I just wasn't thinking about pricing or anything.
I know, and I think it's really hard when it is your hobby and you enjoy it, that
Yeah.
you're like, well, I feel bad charging people when I'm enjoying
Yeah.
it this much.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, now, I would say now I know like how much my time costs, because I've done it for so long. Like, I know how much it costs now to make something, because you really do have to put the same love and care into every single piece, and make sure that, sometimes when you're really busy, you can start to feel yourself rushing through orders, and then I'm like, have to sit there and tell myself, Liv, like, stop, like, you need to give as much care to each one, because that's what I'm about. I don't want to be thinking, oh, I've got so many orders, I need to like go crazy on the sewing machine and just whack them out as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's not it, because I was going to say something about the pricing, that I think sometimes it's also connected to like self-worth. and where you're like, oh, it's just me in my bedroom, like, and
Yeah.
you know, surely
Yeah, like
nobody
you
would
don't
pay for
feel
that.
like you can charge a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like people don't see the value in it, but you still see it in someone else. But when it's you, it's just a completely different story for some reason.
Yeah.
And actually, what you would be prepared to pay for it isn't necessarily what it's worth.
Yeah.
It's always more than that.
Yeah.
My friend Catherine at Future Retail said you've got to put a price on your time that is the same as if you do get so many orders, you would have to pay somebody to make them for you.
Yeah.
Because if you're not allowing that money in there, I know you don't personally outsource your sewing, but some
Yeah.
people, if they had to do that, then and there's no budget in there for that,
Yeah.
you're fucked basically.
Exactly. Also, like there's a difference between just selling something on your website yourself and then also wholesaling. Like
Yeah,
that's a problem that I've had and still have now, with pricing, because with wholesaling it's like you just don't really get really much profit from it if it's not priced correctly.
yeah,
So that's another thing that people need to think about when, like, if they're starting a brand or if they're selling and they're thinking about wholesaling, you need to include that kind of pricing into it as well. So
yeah,
that's something
because
I never thought about.
no.
I didn't think I would ever wholesale. Like I never thought I'd be in Selfridges.
I
You
know. Well, saying that, you
know?
did and you didn't, because you said
Yeah.
that that was like a dream of yours, but then
Yeah.
practically how to do that is a whole other ball game.
Yes.
And so, obviously, we'll get to Selfridges, but
Mm.
I imagine they found you through
Yeah.
Instagram, and your Instagram looks beautiful. Like it really is.
It did back
It's
when they
like a
got in
work
touch
of
with
art.
me.
Say that again.
It did. Honestly wasn't that great when they got in touch with me. Like they literally got in touch with me. I think it was a month after I quit my job at Debenhams. I didn't even
Wow.
have a website at the time.
Yeah.
I was only selling on Etsy, and I had, I think, 5 designs. I
Yeah.
didn't even have a collection or anything.
And so what did they say to you that when they
I just got an email from one of the girls on the buying team. I don't think she works there anymore, but she was just like really interested in my pieces, and I think I can't remember who'd worn it.
was it Lotta?
No, I think that was later. No, the first person was Joanna Kutcher.
Ah,
No,
yes.
sorry, Joanna, if you ever listen to this. No, I think she was the first person that ever like wore my clothes, and people kind of found me from that, because she told me she found me on Etsy as well. Um,
Yeah.
maybe it was from that, but yeah, she just got in touch with me, and she was just interested, and she was just asking me if I could go for a meeting to like discuss putting like a collection together,
Mm-hmm.
the Selfridges. And I remember thinking, oh my god, like I don't even have a collection or anything. And but I don't know what it was. I just thought I had to go for it. Like they were in touch with me, and I was like, I'm gonna have to do it. So because I did go for a meeting before the one that me and you went.
Yeah.
But that was, I think it was like October 2018, something like that, or September, October. And I remember the meeting went so well, and she said to me that I think she wanted 12 designs and like hundreds of units basically of each design. And I remember sitting there thinking, oh, I can't, it's impossible for me. Like, it would take me like
Yeah.
a whole year to do that. Um, so yeah, I just had to like politely decline to begin with. But they were really understanding about it, and they were in touch with, like, every time I launched a collection, basically they would get back in touch with me and ask me where I was, like if I was ready yet and things like that. But yeah, I never was until they got in touch with me about the Bright New Things initiative that they have. So that when that happened, that made me realize that, maybe it is possible, because with that it's kind of more about, I don't know, like it's like responsible brands that are doing things in a different way. So it was like okay for me to do something different being on Bright New Things. So yeah, they invited me for the meeting for that, and I knew that I couldn't do it on my own.
Yeah.
um So that's when I got in touch with you on Instagram, because I knew that I needed someone to help me, like, just with a businessy kind of things, because I never started my brand to wholesale, so I had absolutely no idea. I was kind of just like winging it through life. Literally. Literally. You know how nervous I was in that meeting? I was so nervous. It was
I mean, physically shaking.
yeah,
Because
I was so nervous.
I think it's like you're on trial in a way, like that you're putting yourself out there, yes, for praise, but also like potential judgment, and everything is connected to those days of dressing up with your grandma. Like, it's not just tops that you sew in your bedroom, like it's so much more than that. And so I remember there was the senior buyer for brands, the senior buyer for women's wear, the ethical sustainability manager, and one of those girls' assistants, I think. And we had all your tops on the table.
Yeah.
Or before that, we were sat in reception and we were like,
yeah,
like hyping up. Then we got upstairs, we wrapped everything up. And the women's wear buyer and the branded buyer were basically like at a loggerheads with each other about who would take your brand, because they both needed it. But then they were like, I really love everything. I love all the products, but why you? Like, why you? And it was like, wow, even though you'd been invited in for this meeting, they still wanted you to like sell yourself.
Yeah.
And I remember like in my head, like kicking you under the table, going, please tell the story about your grandma. Please tell the story about your grandma. And then you did, and like, it was the beryl dress, wasn't it?
Yeah.
After her. Yeah. And like, I swear one of them had tears in her eyes, and she was like, yeah.
No, that's it. That's the thing. Like, I wouldn't, like, when people ask me why I start my brand, that is the reason why. So there's no other reason. Like, I think there's nothing worse than sitting and being like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. There's no point in being coy about it. And the other thing people say is it sounds really cheesy.
Yeah.
But it's only ever cheesy for you.
Yeah, like, I know, it does feel cheesy. I remember saying it and I was kind of like, oh, but it's just the truth, so you just have to say what.
Yeah, and also, like, if that's the story that they want, like, people never just want to buy clothes when it's an independent brand. Like, people want to buy clothes if they go to Topshop, and that's why I put that post on, like, you're not in competition with Topshop.
Yeah,
it's got to be more, like, there's got to be a bigger story, or you're working towards something bigger, or you've got some kind of personal values that you want to be in alignment with, because they really did push you to get it manufactured, didn't they?
Yeah.
So that they could buy more. And you were so strong. You were just like, no, like, that's not what it's about.
No, because that's just not my, like, I don't know, it's just not what I'm passionate about. I like to make the things myself. That's why I started it. And I feel like if I was to outsource, it would kind of take like the fun out of it for me. I feel like. So yeah, I don't know if I'll ever do that. I do go back and forth sometimes thinking about that, just sometimes with like orders and opportunities that come to me and things, but I just, I don't think I will. I don't think I ever will. I want to keep it as small as possible.
It's funny because obviously my background is in retail and working like on these huge orders, and all my friends are in that circle. And so whenever they like bring you up, or they go, oh, you know, because I said we had the meeting, and they were like, why isn't she, like, I can give her a factory. I was like, she doesn't want it. Like, and they're like, that's madness. And I was like, but not everything is driven by money, or like,
exactly.
Not what it's about. And if that's what makes you happy, then that's all you can ever want.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's not about money. Like, that's the thing. It's when I'm super busy and I have to close the shop, it's kind of like I do it because I want to be able to have the time to make the orders and not be so crazily busy and trying to get as much money as I can and things like that. That's not the reason why I started this, you know.
Yeah. And so what talk people through your launch process and how that usually goes.
Okay. So I mean, I don't know why I did collections, because I started like just dropping pieces once I designed them, so it would just be one piece one month and then one piece the next month. But then because I'm always like doodling around and playing around with designs, I was coming up with like so many designs. I have like hundreds and hundreds of sketches, like it's crazy. So I have to kind of pick and choose. But I remember my first collection I did, when was that? 2018? Yeah, like February, March 2018. I had like so many designs. Um, I had to like pick because I think I had like 30 or something. I didn't want that many on my website. Um, so I just picked my best ones that I already had on my website as well, that were like improved and things like that. And then I have my friend Beth, that she's like a photographer. She did all my website as well. So we worked together on my website, and she did my first collection photo shoot. So I always hire like local models as well. So my first model was Kirsty, and she was so cute at the time. I think she was like 18 at the time. She was really young, and we all just hired. I rented an Airbnb in Edinburgh. This beautiful it was like Georgian featured flat. It was so nice. And we were together. It was just lovely, like to work with girls that were all kind of like freelance, freelance makeup artist, freelance photographer, freelance stylist, like model. It was just so nice. It was a nice environment. We all just had the best time, especially with my second collection as well. It was the same thing. And yeah, we did that. And what was I forgot the question now.
Just like what your launch process.
I'm rambling on, just thinking about.
Yeah, I could literally see you went into like a lovely memory of thinking back about the fun day. Yeah. So you obviously spent quite a lot of money on that shoot to like.
I don't know, because like I spend quite a lot of money anyway, just on trying to get the best visuals I can, because I want things to look the best. Because when I'm like designing a collection, I have such a strong vision of, like, if I have one certain top, I know exactly how I want the hair to be, or I know exactly what kind of trousers I want. I know exactly what kind of shoes. I know how I want them stood. I know how I want to show the item off. So that's just the way I am. And I remember I launched a few pieces in November last year, and I had I think Laura, my stylist, and I remember sending her like a mood board, and just I sent her like the longest paragraph of like, please can this top be with this headscarf and this, and I thought, oh, she must think I'm such a nightmare, because my vision is just so strong for things that I just want things to look the best like that they possibly can.
But I think that is like so underrated, that is probably one of the things, like one of the threads that has got you to where you are, because you don't back down on anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, like the aesthetics and the values and those two things combined.
Yeah.
I always say to people, it's important for people to like, in life it's not great, but as a brand it's very good for people to put you in a box.
Yeah.
So you have, and like it can be the most beautiful box in the world, but having that very, very clear aesthetic. So when people land on your page, if you covered up all of your logos and people didn't say, like, you would 100% be able to tell your brand without the handle written on it, or your branding anywhere, you would just be able to recognize it instantly, and it's like super powerful. So so you got all your photos done, and then you made your website go live, and so you're very good also at like hyping up a launch and getting people ready for it, rather than just kind of putting it out there once. You will repeat yourself so many times, and people still have the same questions, like, oh my god, do you make everything yourself? Oh my god.
I know, that's like the biggest problem that I have. I think when I'm about to launch a collection, I post about it so much because of how excited I am about it, and I just want to scream it from the rooftops to everyone, like, I've got a collection coming. Like I always try to do questions now before I launch something, because I think
Yes.
it's just because the brand has grown, and like when you get new followers, they don't necessarily look on your website. They just like maybe follow you and don't even look through your feed necessarily. So I always try to like get people to ask me questions so that I can answer them, because every time it's the same questions. It's like, oh, do you handle everything yourself? What factory do you make things? I'm like, I don't. It's just me. Da, da, da. And then I always get messages of people like, oh my God, I had no idea. What the hell? Like, this is so crazy. Da, da. And it just shocks me every time, because I feel like I'm constantly saying it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy.
But also your audience is growing constantly as well. So then you do need to say it again. I did a live Q&A this morning, and that was exactly one of somebody's questions was, how often should I repeat myself? And it was almost like, as long as you're growing, you need to keep repeating it for the people.
Yeah.
And I think you are such a good example of that you like, not recycle, that sounds bad, but like you use the same images over and over again and trust that people aren't going to get bored of you.
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, I've already shared that once.
I used to do that to begin with. I mean, maybe people that follow me super closely are like, oh, she's posting that again, she's saying that again.
They would. I think they're like, oh my God, that beautiful top again.
But I try to, because of how much confusion there is in my DMs, like from people, they don't know how it works, I guess, because I think most people are shocked that you would close your shop.
Yeah.
And things like that. So I don't think they understand why. Like, people be like, everything's out of stock, what the hell's going on? But then out of stock isn't even necessarily the correct term. It's just what is on the website, but it's not really out of stock. It's just like closed for now. Yeah, paused for now. Because I know that even people getting in touch with me about like, you know, like Instagram collabs and stylists and things like that, they always ask for like 8-12 items at a time, and then ask me, oh, I'm styling this person, can you send this to me for tomorrow, like these amount of pieces for tomorrow? And I'm like, I don't have any stock. I know I probably should make some in my spare time. But I just don't have the time at the moment. So I just don't have stock. So I just, it's a nightmare, and people just don't get it, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think the people that don't get it aren't your ideal audience.
And
exactly, because you are making everything yourself, you don't need everybody to be your ideal audience. You just need like a good sized close fan base, and then everybody else that can just admire your photos, but they don't really get why it's a certain price or whatever. You're like, cool, you can just watch and enjoy the party. But
I don't get that about pricing as much these days. I did before. Well, actually, it was when I launched my second collection, because that was when I was working with Selfridges, and I had to put my prices up quite a bit because I bought like more expensive fabrics, and the designs were a bit longer to make and things like that. And I had to think about my pricing, and not many people, but quite a few people were like, "This is too expensive for me now. Like, I'm unfollowing you."
Yeah.
and I don't think they understood like why, but I did explain why. But yeah, now I think people that follow me, they understand. And also for like a contemporary handmade brand, I still think my prices are very reasonable, personally. They should really be a lot more expensive than they are, but I try to keep them as reasonable as possible, because I want people to be able to buy something if they really wanted it. Like, I don't want it to be completely out of someone's price range. So yeah.
I think so, yeah, as you grow, it's hard to do at the beginning, but as you grow, it might be that you have like a good, a better and a best offering.
Yeah.
You know, the way you do in a supermarket, that you have like a value range and then a normal range and then a finest range. So maybe as you grow, that would be something that you could expand on, you know, to have like embellished pieces or something, whatever it might be, that's like the top end, and then you can still have some jersey pieces that are you know, at the more accessible end. But yeah, I think when you've only got like 6 pieces, it's quite hard. So then once you actually have launched, do you see obviously like big sales peaks on the day of launch and then
Yeah.
it kind of calms down again, obviously when you have to close
Yeah.
it?
To be honest, it's different at all different times because, okay, I'll tell you a story. I'm exposing myself a little bit here. Um, in, um, in November last year, I launched a collection. Sorry, I feel like the sun's really in my face, but
Yeah, it's all right. You can
that's for the
shift around.
podcast.
My boyfriend just seems to be like smashing the kitchen up downstairs. I don't know what.
Maybe I can't hear anything.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so in November last year, I launched a smaller collection. It was kind of like my first kind of winterish collection. Um, and I don't know what it was, like my engagement wasn't as great back then on Instagram and things like that. And I don't know, maybe I did something wrong, but I launched that and I did not get one order for 24 hours. And
Yeah.
that to me, I was so upset. I was like depressed. I was thinking, oh,
I remember this.
yeah, I told you.
Yeah.
I was like worried. I was thinking, shit, this is going downhill now. Like, what the hell? And I was so excited about that because they were my best visual images I'd ever created. Like some of the best designs that I was so excited about. Like the Libby top was on that. That's completely sold out now and been one of my most popular pieces. But when I launched it, like it was like nobody. It was like tumbleweed. Like
Yeah.
no one was interested. But after the first day, I started to get a few orders trickling in, and then for some reason it just went back up again after a while, and I started to get the orders, and I don't know what that was. I could not tell you why.
Yeah.
It was so strange. But since I launched this collection, my summer collection, was it 2 weeks ago now? 3 weeks ago now? Like that's had the best response, like probably ever that I've had. And
I think I know, not I know, but one of the things that we talked about was the fact that you never really, because everything had come to you so easily for a long time.
Yeah.
It was like you'd got into a rhythm with your marketing.
Yeah.
And you were like, let's just try shaking it up. Let's try doing something different. And like you started sharing more like normal content. Of you wearing your clothes, slightly less polished images, like in between shoots of you just dancing in your clothes.
Completely.
And that, I think, I mean, since November, how many more, like 10,000 new followers at least? And I think it's sometimes when you feel a bit stagnant, it's because it is stagnant. And it's like, okay, let's take some time out, have a little cry. What can I do to like shake it up and try something new? And did that. And I think so many people could have just thought, that's it, puff sleeve tops are over, I'm done. Like I've had my 15 minutes. But that perseverance and trying something new took like loads of bravery and it's paid off. And then
that's it. Because before I was never to begin with, at the very beginning I was posting pictures of myself in the clothes because I had no other choice. But once I like started creating like really good imagery, I was really nervous to like show myself, I guess, or
you didn't even have a picture of you on your about page.
Yeah, I didn't have anything. That's why I did that photo shoot by myself, because I was like, I need to get some content. Like I need to show people what's actually going on behind the scenes, because I totally agree, because when I look at other brands, I'm less interested in the ones that I don't know the person behind. So I knew that I needed to start to show myself more, and I've got so much more confident now. Like I did my first speaking Instagram story the other day, which was crazy for me. I would never normally do anything like that, but
you are quite shy.
I was like, oh, I've finally done it. Like the fear is over. So I'll probably start doing that more now as well.
Good. I think another one of the questions actually that came up on this live this morning was like, do you have to be an extrovert to be like selling? And you're like I just said, you're quite shy day to day, like obviously not when you're with your friends and your family and stuff, but so to do that, but doing it in a way where you don't have to be like, hi everyone, and like shouting to the camera, it can be more subtle than that. And like you said, you did it and you didn't die. Nothing happened. Like the phone didn't explode, or
no one even cares.
And then it's like, but then you say nobody cares, but actually what probably happened was that you got loads of messages being like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, I did get a few lovely messages. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just nice to, I don't know, like connect with your following or customers in a different way because, like you say, I am a massive introvert. Like I love to be on my own and like be in my own thoughts and just sit sewing on my own, thinking and listening to podcasts and things like that. I don't need to have like people around me all the time to like enjoy myself. So I just like to be on my own. But yeah, it's something that I think like if anyone that is having like starting a brand or anything, it's something that I would say definitely helps connect in a different way than just showing clothing, because that's the thing, like with that collection last year, I would say that yeah, I don't think many people really knew me till I started to show myself like the beginning of this year. So I think it's definitely helped.
And I wrote down here about TikTok as well. And
Yeah, I
that's
love TikTok.
it's actually been a really good platform for you, hasn't
I
it?
love it.
The behind
Do
the
you know
scenes.
what? When I started it, I didn't even. I remember starting it, and I was like, "Oh God, I don't know how this works." Like, I didn't have a clue. And I remember me and my brother did a few little videos together, just dancing. And then I got the hang of making videos, and I just started posting videos of me sewing the pieces, just showing how they come together, and then showing them on myself. And yeah, they've done quite well so far, I would say. But I haven't took it too seriously yet. I would love to really like get into a routine of posting videos, like from scratch, like cutting the fabric out to the finished product. I love doing those videos. They're so nice to watch.
Yeah, I think I mean, I've not even spoken about TikTok on this podcast yet, but I think as some tips for people to get started on it, my number one tip would be to treat it exactly the same as Instagram stories.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But then layering on top is like, if you start noticing patterns of music that people are using, like use that music and use the hashtags and you know, if there's something on the trending page that's green and purple, there was one the other day, and if you've got a top that's green and purple, like put it into that hashtag, but don't just do stuff for the sake of it. I think you don't have to dance.
It's more of like it's like more free, I feel like, and more fun. I don't know, I really enjoy it. I didn't think I would, but I really do.
Yeah, I do.
It's really good for brands as well, though, because I've seen a few different brands. I can't remember the one that I found before. It was like a swimwear brand. It was like this girl, she just does all herself, and she did like similar videos to me, just sewing, and she would show it like a flat lay at the end, and they were getting hundreds of thousands of views. It was so good, and she would just use the most like random sounds, you know, like the what is it, like the Tiger King one? It was like Tiger King, like one of the songs, and it was just like so good. Like it was really good to watch, and it just feels more free than Instagram. I love Instagram, but TikTok is more creative as well, I think.
And I guess as you've been saying throughout, like how creative you love to be, it's like a whole new platform to try out lots of new fun things.
I just love putting the music with things as well. I think that really creates like a vibe or an aesthetic. Like whatever you're trying to create, you'll be able to do it with that, because I really love it. So.
It's like a mood.
Yeah, it's a mood.
And if anybody is looking to start their own brand, or they are handmaking and they feel like they're undercharging, or they don't feel like they've got that clear aesthetic, like what would you kind of leave people with as some top tips that you've learned, or that you wish you could tell yourself back in 2018?
I would say, well, everything happened super organically for me, so it's difficult to look back and think, if I'd have done things in a structured, like really thought my way through the brand, would it be where it is? But I would say definitely think about your pricing. Like when you sit down and make something, really think about, you know, the time it takes you to make. If you think about if you're making everything yourself and you've got 20 orders of that top, and you sat for a week making each one, how much would you want to be paid? And obviously include like materials costs and everything like that within it. But also, I would say like whatever niche you are in with your brand, like look at other brands and see what they're charging, because that's a good way to kind of see what people are willing to pay. I mean, it's completely different within like contemporary brands on Instagram, because I follow so many. Some are so expensive. Um, which one am I? One that I look, Mirror Palais, for example. I hope I'm saying that right. But like their brand is amazing, and they're expensive, but I would pay for that because they're such good pieces. And he always does like little videos behind the scenes, and he did one the other day because I think it was one of his bikinis, like the print went wrong or something, and he just sat and explained it to everyone. But it was so nice. Sorry, again, I forgot the question. I'm just rambling.
Yeah, no. What I was going to say there on pricing, I guess it was like lessons learned, but you're a really good example. For one, expenses is subjective.
Yeah.
And two, you're a good example of somebody who charges for their time and still gets orders. Because when I say to people, okay, say you want to get paid £15 an hour, £20 an hour, and it takes you 2 hours, that's £40 that you're going to include in make. And they're like, surely nobody would pay more than £40 for a top. And it's like, okay, that's your projection of what you think your time is worth.
I used to think that.
Yeah, but you're selling tops for like hundreds of pounds and dresses, and people are buying it, and you have to shut your shop. So yes, the answer to surely no one would pay that is actually they do. Yeah. There's lots of them. You just need to create the aesthetic that's aspirational enough for them to spend the money.
Yeah.
Oh, well, is there any, that was my thing, is if you wanted to leave on any sort of like parting wisdom. I know you shared so much, super honest. So if there's anything else.
I would just say, I always say this whenever I do like little interviews and things, but just, you need to just do in life what you love doing, and then just go for it, and then just worry about all the like nitty gritty things when it comes to it, because that's what I've done.
Look where you are.
Yeah, I just think, because I know that I do get questions a lot on Instagram of girls like wanting to start brands and wanting to do the same, like make things themselves and sell it, and asking me like all kinds of different questions, which would be perfect questions for you actually, which I normally do tell them about you, but
thank you.
Yeah, I do get questions a lot of asking how to start, and I always say like, don't think about it too much. Just don't get in your head thinking like everything has to be perfect before you start, and things like it doesn't. Just get something out there that you've made, create an audience that is interested, even if it's just like 50 people.
Yeah, because if I asked you to go and speak in front of 50 people, that's like 2 classrooms full of people. It's quite a lot of people.
Yeah, it's like you sent me that picture the other day. It's about like thinking about followers in like
in an audience
hall or something. Yeah, it's like so many people. It's scary. Don't even think about it. But yeah, just that's what I always say to people. Is like, just do things that you love and that you're passionate about, and you're just sorted. Like, you don't need to worry too much. There's always help out there if you need it. You can always learn when you need to. So just do it. Just go for it.
And not worry about what other people think.
No, I know, that's it, because also as well, I think like people think they need to have lots of money to create things, because I was like, now with when I was talking about how I like my images to be and things like that, that's because I've always had that in my mind, but I never started like that. Like, if you look back at some of like the pictures that I used to take, I've probably deleted them now actually because I'm embarrassed, but on my Instagram to begin with, they were terrible. My logo was terrible. Like, you just need to start somewhere, and just don't worry about things being perfect, because you've always got time to grow. People love to see the growth of a brand as well. If you start off super perfect, then they expect you to do everything perfectly.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
So many gems, so many gems. It's only taken us like a year to record this, but it was worth the wait.
I remember us talking about this a while ago. But
yeah. I know, and I'm glad we did, because at the beginning, just before we pressed record, you were saying like we're recording this kind of still during lockdown-ish, that you thought everything was going to like close and everything. No, surely no one's going to want to wear a fancy top at home, but you've never had such an incredible reaction to your brand. And so I'm glad we're actually recording this when things are going so well for you.
Because if they're going bad, I'd just be crying. Telling everyone, don't start a brand. It's been amazing. Like, honestly, Instagram as well for small brands at this time, like, they're being so supportive. It's unbelievable. Like, because that's what's keeping everything going now and helping people still earn some money whilst being locked inside. Like, it's like my boyfriend, he hasn't been able to work now for months and he's gone crazy. Yeah, he definitely loves cooking. He's like devastated that he can't use his knives anymore, and like, he's devastated. Like, he really is just dying to go back to work, and I feel bad when I'm sat next to him being like he's sewing away with my orders and things like that. And he's just looking
sharpen like, your needles for your sewing machine.
I'm just like, do you want to go send my orders off for me to the post office, please? I'm like, get on my overlocker. It's very easy.
And train him up, for sure.
Yeah, I would love to, but he's so not interested in fashion. It's terrible.
No.
Makes me sad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all your secrets.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Yeah.
And where can people find you if they want to follow you or take a look on your website?
Well, on Instagram at Olivia Rosa Label. Same on TikTok. That's it. Or oliviarosalabel.com for my website.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. And I'll probably see you on TikTok later.
100%.
See you then.
Bye.